Hello guys, welcome to our channel. So as in the last video we discussed about heating effect of electric current, power rating of the electrical device and the various combination of resistance to find the power and heat dissipated in the circuit. So in this video we are going to learn two most important topic of this chapter, that is Kirchhoff's law and potentiometer with its application. So watch the complete video, share it with your friends and subscribe the channel. For more study material, you can also visit our website newerasolution.in. We already discussed that how can we solve an electrical circuit with various resistance, but if they are very complicated circuit in which we want to find the potential current or resistance of a particular area, so the Kirchhoff's laws are very useful for that. So Kirchhoff proposed two laws to solve an electrical circuit. The first law of Kirchhoff is known as the junction rule, or you can say the junction law, which state that when some current is meeting at a junction, then the algebraical sum of all the current at that junction is 0, or you can say the total current entering the junction is equal to the total current leaving the junction. This law is basically based on the conservation of charge. As we know, charge neither be created nor be destroyed, so the current produced by charge, that's why the current is also conserved. So let's illustrate this law with an example. We take certain amount of currents, some are entering and some are leaving the junction. If we given them some names, so we have I1, I2, I3, I4 and I5. These are some current associated at point P, which is behaving as a junction. So according to this law, the sum of all the current have to be 0. That means sum of I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4 plus I5 have to be 0. This is justified with the sign convention in which the current entered the junction is taken with the positive sign and the current leaving the junction is taken with the negative sign. So in this illustration, the two current I1 and 2 entering the junction and these three currents are leaving the junction. So by putting their respective sign, we get I1 plus I2 minus I3 minus I4 minus I5 is equal to 0. Then by simplifying it, we get I1 plus I2 is equal to I3 plus I4 plus I5. Then I1 plus I2 is the total current entered and I3, I4 plus I5 is total current exit the junction. So we again obtain another form of Kirchhoff's first law that shows that the total current entered is equal to total current leaving the junction. Next we have Kirchhoff's second law, which is also known as loop rule, which states that the sum of all the potential in a loop is always equal to 0. So in a loop there are two types of potential we can obtain. One as the EMF of the cell and one is the potential across a resistor. So the sum of all the EMF plus the sum of all the potential across a resistor have to be 0 in the loop. So to apply Kirchhoff's second law, we also have to follow some sign convention for which we can illustrate a cell like A and B are the two terminals where a cell of EMF A is connected. So if we are moving A to B in a loop, then we are moving from positive terminal to negative terminal. That means we are moving from high potential to low potential. In that case, the EMF of the cell is taken with a negative sign. In the next case, if we are moving from B to A in the loop, that means we are moving from negative terminal to positive terminal, then low to high potential cause positive EMF. That means you can remember, if you are coming out from the negative terminal, you have negative potential, and if you are emerging out from the positive terminal, you have positive EMF. The reason we already discussed, that you are moving from high to low or low to high potential. Similarly, if you have a resistance through which a current I is flowing and it is connected between two terminals, then again, as we remembered, current always move from positive to negative side. In that case, that positive side behaving as a high potential terminal and negative side behaving as a low potential terminal. So if you are moving from A to B, that means in the direction of current, so you are moving from high potential to low potential. So your potential is negative, that means the potential you take, that is minus IR. Similarly, if you are moving from B to A in the loop, that means you are moving opposite to current, that means you move negative to positive terminal, which is low to high potential. Then the potential is positive and taken as plus IR. So in the motion towards the direction of current, produce the negative potential, and in the motion opposite to the direction of current, produce the positive potential. So by using this sign convention, you can apply Kirchhoff's second law to any circuit. So to illustrate Kirchhoff's second law, let's take an example that we have 2 cell and 3 resistance are connected in that system, and there are some current flowing through the circuit. Let's assume that is I1, I2 and I, that is the sum of all these current, because the current is meeting at point B and entering towards E. So if you want to apply Kirchhoff's second law, we take 2 loops, that is A, B, E, F, A, and second is B, C, D, E, B. So by taking these 2 loops, we can apply Kirchhoff's law. So first of all, we have to apply Kirchhoff's first law at any junction B or E where I1 and I2 are the current enter the junction and I is the current leaving the junction. So I is equal to the sum of I1 and I2. Now if we take the loop A, B, E, F, A and the loop B, C, D, E, B. So for the first loop A, B, E, F, A, then from A to B, neither the cell nor the resistance in the circuit, so there is no potential. When we move from B to E, then there is a resistance R2 and I is the current flowing through it, and we are moving in the same direction of current, then the potential taken as minus IR2. From B to E, the potential is IR2 with the negative sign. When we moving from E to F, then again there is no potential. When we are moving from F to A, then there is a resistance through which current I2 is flowing in the same direction. Then again it is I2 R3 with the negative sign. Then there is a cell E2. We are moving from negative to positive terminal, that means low to high potential. Then its EMF is taken as positive sign. So the sum of all these potential is 0, as we already discussed in Kirchhoff's second law. By simplifying it, we get the value of I is equal to I1 plus I2. So I1 plus I2 with negative sign into R2 minus R2 R3 plus E2 is equal to 0. Then again E2 is equal to, I2 is with R2 as well as R3, so it is I2 common R2 plus R3. Then again minus I1 R2 become plus I1 R2. This is the equation 1. Then again in the loop B, C, D, E, B, if we apply Kirchhoff law, B, C, D, E, B, B to C, then there is no cell or resistance. Then C to D, there is a cell of EMF E1, we are moving from high to low potential, then this EMF is taken with negative sign. And again there is a resistance R1 and the current I1 flowing opposite to our direction, so that potential I1 R1 is taken with the positive sign. D to E, there is no cell, no resistance. E to R, there is a resistance with current I, so that potential is also taken with the positive sign. Then it is equated with 0 by again putting the value of current. We get minus E1 plus I1 R1 plus I1 plus I2 into R2 is equal to 0. Then E1 is equal to I1 common R1 plus R2 plus I2 into R2. This is equation second. So by using these two equations we can find any current of any branch of the circuit. So you have to practice more and more numerical based on Kirchhoff law, and there are certain conditions of Kirchhoff law which we discuss in the separate video which we make on the numericals. So if we want to measure the potential difference across any device or resistance, so we can use voltmeter. But if we want to measure the EMF of a cell, we cannot use a voltmeter, because when we connect a voltmeter across a cell, some current is drawn, whatever the resistance of a voltmeter, because in only ideal voltmeter infinite resistance is possible which doesn't allow to flow the current. But in normal voltmeter resistance may be high but it is not infinite. Then there are some current drawn through the voltmeter, and when some current drawn across the cell, its EMF change and it shows only terminal potential difference. So to measure the actual EMF of a cell we use another device, and there is potentiometer. So potentiometer is a device which is used to measure the EMF or internal resistance of a cell, which voltmeter cannot. So as per the construction of potentiometer, we have a long wire which is usually 5 to 10 meter long, placed on a wooden scale. One end of wire is connected to the positive terminal of battery and another terminal of wire connected to the rheostat, which make that battery a variable source of EMF. Then this arrangement of wire is placed on a wooden scale and we attach a jockey through a voltmeter to measure the potential. And if you move jockey from A to B, then the potential shown in the voltmeter vary from A to B. This arrangement you observe in your practical lab. But in numerical or conceptual question, sometime we show this potentiometer by a primary cell, an external resistance, a long wire AB and a voltmeter which show the potential with the help of jockey. So this is the simplest form of potentiometer, where AB wire is stretched in form of a straight line. Now if we talk about the principle of potentiometer, so it works on the principle that the potential across a wire carrying a steady current is directly proportional to its length. So more the length we covered with respect to a fixed point, we get more potential if the current is constant. And if we remove the proportional sign, we can introduce a constant K, where K is V by L, which is known as potential gradient or potentiometer constant. So potential gradient is basically the potential per unit length which behave like a least count. So per centimeter of the wire, how much potential will change is shown by the potential gradient. Then if we discuss from where we get that principle, then from Ohm's law we have V is equal to IR. the potential across a resistance when I current is flowing is equal to the product of current and resistance. Then we also know that the resistance of a wire is rho L by A, where rho is the resistivity, L is the length and A is area. So if we assume the cross section area of the wire is same throughout and the current flowing through the wire is same. So when current is same, area of cross section is same and material of the wire is same, in that case the potential proportional to the length of wire. So more length you will cover from a fixed point and more potential you will get, because the total potential is spread all over the wire of potentiometer. So potentiometer can be used in three different applications, like it can be used to measure the EMF of an unknown cell, and it is also used to compare the EMF of two cells. Then it is also used to find the internal resistance of a given cell. So in the first application, we are going to measure the EMF of an unknown cell. So we have a primary circuit with a primary cell of EMF EP with external resistance R. Then we have a long wire AB in which terminal A connected with the positive terminal of primary cell or battery. Then we have the secondary circuit in which the unknown cell whose EMF we are going to measure is connected with the galvanometer through a high resistance which we obtain from a variable source. It may be the resistance box or the rheostat. Then it is connected to a jockey which can be slided over the wire AB to get the null deflection point, or you can say the balance point. And where we get the null point, that length L is called balance length or the length of null point. So before starting the measurement, you can check your circuit by touching the jockey at point A at point B, and at these 2 points you get opposite deflection in galvanometer. And if you are getting one-sided deflection, then maybe you connected the wrong terminal with A, or maybe your primary cell have smaller EMF as compared to your unknown cell. So you can rectify your connections and resolve that problem. Then we use that high resistance to protect the galvanometer, because very high resistance reduce the secondary current which flowing through galvanometer. But the variation in this resistance will not change the balance length of potentiometer. So when we switch on and move the jockey J from A, then let at point J the deflection in galvanometer is 0, which shows that the potential across AJ is equal to the EMF of unknown cell. And from the principle of potentiometer, we know that the potential across the wire is equal to potential gradient into the length of that portion of wire. So EMF is equal to KL. So by putting the value of balance length and multiplying it with potential gradient of potentiometer, we can find the EMF of that cell. Now if you want to check the variation of balance length with the various parameter, then if the EMF of primary cell increase, then the current in the potentiometer also increase, and due to increase in current, the potential gradient also high. So we get balance length at a shorter distance. Then second, if the external resistance R increase, then due to increase in resistance, the primary current decrease. When the primary current decrease, the potential gradient is also decreased. Then we have to cover more length to get the balance point. Third, if the resistance as in the secondary circuit change, there is no effect in the primary current, so balance length remains same or unchanged. So these various parameters can change your balance length and shift your balance point towards A or towards B. So in second application, we can compare the EMF of two cells by using potentiometer. So it is almost same as the first experiment, in which we are going to find the EMF of individual cell by using the balance length provided by potentiometer. So in this arrangement, we have the same primary circuit with primary cell, external resistance and a long wire AB. Then in secondary circuit, we have two cell E1, E2, whose EMF we are going to compare with two different key K1 and K2. Then a very high resistance from a variable source like resistance box, a galvanometer and a jockey. So by using different key, we can find the EMF of each cell. So when key K1 is closed and K2 is open, so K1 is closed, K2 is open, that means E2 cell not affecting the circuit, then the balance length L1 provide the EMF of first cell. Similarly, when the key K1 is open and K2 is closed, in that case the EMF of second cell is obtained by using the balance length L2, because now E1 is not participating in the circuit, only E2 cell participating in the circuit. This is equation second. So by dividing first with the second, we get E1 by E2 is equal to L1 by L2. So more the balance length, more the EMF of a cell. So by using this ratio, we can compare the EMF of two different cells. In the third application, we can find the internal resistance of a cell by using potentiometer. So in that case, we have the same primary circuit with primary cell, resistance and a long wire AB. In secondary circuit, we have the cell whose internal resistance we are going to find, and we connected a resistance box which provide an external resistance with the help of key. The remaining external high resistance as galvanometer G and jockey is same as the previous experiment. So initially when key K is open, so when key K is open, then that external resistance is not participating in the circuit, so the no current drawn through the cell. Then the EMF of the cell is obtained at a balance length L1, which is KL1 according to the principle of potentiometer. But when the key K is closed, in that case the resistance R dash, which is an external resistance, is complete the circuit, due to which some current drawn through the cell and its EMF change into terminal potential difference. So in that case, the potential is balanced by the length L2 according to principle of potentiometer. So when we divide these two potential, EMF by V is equal to L1 by L2, and that is equation 3. Now as we discussed in the case of cell, the internal resistance of a cell is E by V minus 1 into external resistance of the circuit. So in our case, internal resistance is L1 by L2 minus 1 into R dash. So as we know the value of output resistance and the balance length in both the case, we can find the internal resistance of any cell. Now let's discuss the sensitivity of potentiometer, because a potentiometer considered to be more accurate if its sensitivity is high. So sensitivity is the ability due to which a potentiometer can measure even a small potential difference, or it will provide a significant change in balance length if there is a slightly change in the potential. So to increase the sensitivity, we have to reduce the potential gradient, which is the least count of potentiometer, because we know lower the least count, higher the sensitivity. Then we have the formula of potential gradient, that is potential upon the length. This is the potential across the wire upon the length of the wire. So if we increase the length of wire by keeping the current constant, in that case the potential gradient will decrease and the sensitivity will increase. This is the first possibility. Second, if we decrease the primary current in the circuit, then the potential across the wire also decrease, which also reduce the potential gradient. In that case the length remains same. Then again the sensitivity of potentiometer increase. So we can increase the sensitivity of potentiometer by increasing the length, keeping other parameter constant, or by decreasing the current, keeping the length of wire constant. So I hope these two important topics, Kirchhoff law and potentiometer, clear to you. If you have any doubt, you can write in comment box or email us. You can also visit our website newerasolution.in for more study material. Till then, subscribe the channel, share it with your friends and study hard.